What's going on, comic fans? It is Mike from the Hardcover Comic here. Hope everyone has been doing well, staying safe and sound, um, staying sane, all that stuff, reading your comics to help pass the time. Today, I wanted to talk about one of my favorite writers, a guy who not many people know about from what I've seen, a creator who does not typically work at the big two anymore. Matt Kindt, an awesome, super nice dude. I've met him, had the pleasure of meeting him at Planet Comic Con a few years ago with my channel partner Matt. Super nice dude. Really loved sketching in books and hearing about how much we loved the titles he's worked on. And I wanted to talk about my 5 favorite series by him that I would recommend to anybody and everybody that loves entertainment, stories, and just great media in general. So let's dive into these books. I've got hardcovers for 4 out of the 5 series I wanted to talk about. So let's get into it. First up, I'll talk about the book I do not have hardcovers for, but there are hardcovers available for this series. It is called Black Badge, written by Matt Kindt with artwork by Tyler and Hillary Jenkins. They've worked with Matt Kindt on other titles, ones I'll be talking about here. It's published by Boom Studios. There are 3 hardcovers collecting the entire series, which was 12 issues long. It's a very, very cool concept. The story is essentially about this group of kids, this group of, teens, 4 teens specifically, who are basically, scouts. They're trying to earn merit badges and all that stuff. And they've basically been recruited by the CIA to be part of this black badge program. And so they're being, these teens are being sent on missions by the CIA under the guise of being Boy Scouts. So, or Scouts in general, I apologize. And so, it's a really interesting concept because people don't expect scouts to be doing anything sketchy. If they do, it's, teenagers, what were you supposed to do? They're just scouts trying to, earn a badge or enjoy the wilderness. It's a very, very fascinating concept with incredible character work by Matt Kindt. The artwork by Tyler Jenkins can be haunting. It can be really claustrophobic at times. It's great. I love the dynamic that Matt Kindt and Tyler Jenkins have built up. They really understand each other and what they're trying to do with the story. It's really, really cool. A brilliant concept, 12 issues. You get a nice, solid storyline without it dragging on for too long. And I really liked seeing the characters learning about their histories, why they're in the position they're in now, why they decided they needed to be part of this Black Badge program, how it all got started, how they got recruited. Really, really cool. I get it. Tyler Jenkins' art style may not be for everyone. I personally liked it. And it's great. It's great. 12 issues. There are 3 hardcovers, like I said. They're relatively expensive. Boom Studios is not a huge company, but they're really nice hardcovers from what I've seen. So my first recommendation from Matt Kindt will definitely be Black Badge. I can't mention Matt Kindt without talking about some of his Valiant work. He's done a whole bunch of Valiant titles. It was very difficult for me to choose my favorites for this little video here, but Divinity absolutely made the cut. Matt Kindt wrote essentially the 3 minis that made up Divinity. So Divinity was a story from Valiant Comics. Valiant Comics has their own superhero universe. Superhero universe. They have their own comic universe with various characters in it that have super heroic powers, let's say. And really Divinity is about the Soviet Union sending people out into space to sort of look into this anomaly that they've encountered. So there's been something happening at the edge of the universe, as they call it, and they send these individuals out there to see what's going on. One of which is Abram Adams, who is the main character, who is known as Divinity. And in the first miniseries, we got to see his adventure into this anomalous area and how that affected him when he came back to Earth. How the Valiant superhero team Unity came to stop him, and what the consequences of that were, what his motivations are, how he got into this program, how the Soviets, manipulated him, controlled him, all these things. And then with Divinity 2, we get to see the expansion of this, find out more about the other crew members that were involved and what happened to them in this anomalous area. And then with Divinity 3, Stalinverse, you get to see this alternate reality where essentially the Soviet Union takes over the world. Characters like Exo Man, Shadow Man, Bloodshot are all part of the Soviet Union as opposed to the United States, as they are in the original Valiant universe, if you will. And you get to see, why that's happened, how it gets reversed, how the status quo gets corrected, and it's a very, very interesting exploration of godlike powers, and the responsibility and the consequences that come along with that, and the way characters interact with each other. And Stalinverse is just a great old alternate universe story that's highly, highly enjoyable. It's great to see all these characters that you know and love in the original Valiant universe sort of be explored within this Stalinverse, with amazing artwork by Trevor Hairsine throughout. All three of these are spectacular. There's also the spiritual successor called Eternity, which I will talk about a little bit more in another little upcoming title here. Let's get right into it. The next book I wanted to talk about is Exo Man by Matt Kindt. I do have a custom bind for this. I don't have the 2 deluxe editions that were released, but there are 2 official deluxe editions from Valiant that you can pick up. They are oversized, that collect the entire run. Fantastic. I loved Exo Man by Matt Kindt. Now, Exo Man since the Valiant reboot, has been fantastic overall. Robert Venditti had a spectacular 50-issue run, and then we got to have Matt Kindt's 26 or so issue run for Exo Man. What's great about it is you get to see Arik progress incredibly as a character. It starts off with him on a completely distant planet. He has left Earth for reasons that we, are not entirely clear. Matt Kindt does clarify everything, of course, because he's an amazing writer who covers all of his plot lines. But you get to see Arik progress from, being this nobody on this alien planet to becoming essentially emperor of this planet and ruling it, and learning that he doesn't know as much as he thinks he knows. The ways of Earth are not the correct way at all time. All sorts of things. He's learning all these lessons as he's dealing with his armor Shanhara, who can now communicate with him, who he can now manipulate with a little more ease and control. Sort of going back to the classic 90s stuff where he's got like the little ring and all that fun stuff. Starts calling it the good skin again. Really, really cool. And of course, amazing artists working with Matt Kindt throughout the entire series. And then within this, there's also a tie-in to Eternity. Like I said, Eternity was sort of the spiritual successor to Divinity, where that Matt Kindt wrote, where something gets stolen, and there's a whole bunch of cosmic epicness happening within the Valiant universe that Matt Kindt sort of crafted. And you get to see how that ties into the Exo Man series, as Exo has to deal with the repercussions of Divinity and Eternity. Really, really, really excellent stuff, and that's really the culmination of everything Matt Kindt did at Valiant. It's all excellent. It's all tied in within his own little pocket universe. Really, really fantastic. I love that Matt Kindt is able to, again, focus on these character progressions and these very interesting concepts. Again, things like having a barbarian go from being a soldier to an emperor is a huge character progression and a huge story progression, and Matt Kindt is one of the only writers who could handle it with such ease and excellence, in my opinion. So Exo Man by Matt Kindt, I highly, highly recommend. All right, so Matt Kindt is one of those creators who does both writing and drawing for a good number of his titles. One of those was Mind Management, which I'm not going to mention in this video, unfortunately, but I will mention Department H, which I enjoyed very, very, very thoroughly. It's about 24 issues long, the entire series, and it's collected across these 4 hardcovers released by Dark Horse. Matt Kindt wrote and drew the story with his wife Charlene Kindt doing the coloring. It's spectacular. It's a great murder mystery, an underwater murder mystery. Essentially, Department H is this very intricate private sector corporation research facility that is essentially trying to discover things, deep, deep, deep in the sea, trying to find new cures for diseases from creatures that have not been researched and investigated by scientists up until now. And essentially what happens is there is a murder that occurs within Department H. Of course, Department H is not a bustling and gigantic civilization. It's a very small, tight-knit group of people who are there for a very specific set of tasks. And Mia, who's the main character that we get introduced to here, essentially goes down to Department H to discover what's happened because it is her father who has been murdered. Things start to spiral out of control there. Of course, she's been involved heavily with her father. Her father, Hari, was a huge, huge, huge researcher who's been into space. He's been underwater, and he's been dealing with these private corporations, trying to make money off of these discoveries and this research. There are a lot of moving pieces in this title, and what's really great about it is you get to see all these pieces unfold. What's spectacular about Matt Kindt in this title is he's able to literally have multiple storylines happening at the same time. So you'll have 2 characters there's a great scene in here where Mia and another character are sort of stuck in this room that's filling up with water. So you've got that plot line happening while other people are trying to rescue them. Mia's telling a story during this time, and within that story, within the story she's telling, the character she's talking about in the story is also referencing a story. So you've got like three stories happening within one issue. It's absolutely beautiful, and Matt Kindt nails it. You're never lost, you're never confused. There's a lot of information to process, no doubt, but it's insane to see how it all connects. The sort of meta storytelling that's happening, as she's talking about something that happened in the past while the present is reflecting that in its own unique way. Very, very, very well done. Very intricate storyline that, again, spans 24 issues, so you're getting a good chunk of plot with a lot of characters. You get to see a lot of their histories. You get to see a lot of their actions, their motivations. You get to see, again, more character progression, which Matt Kindt is excellent at. And again, he creates these characters that are slightly unusual. They're relatable, but they also do these things that you wouldn't think about. A lot of us may not have experience with. I mean, the whole idea of an deep underwater research facility is pretty remarkable. And it's great to see that explored here. And you get to see, again, the psychology involved with a situation like that and the experiments that are being conducted. Really awesome. It is Matt Kindt doing artwork as well. So if you're not a fan of his art, you probably won't be a fan of it here for, obvious reasons. But I thoroughly enjoyed it. It's a great story with a great concept. If you're a fan of murder mysteries and human psychology, look no further than Department H. Sort of coming full circle here, in a way, Matt Kindt and Tyler Jenkins again. Boom Studios again. A 12-issue series, again, similar to Black Badge, all of these things. Grass Kings, a wonderful, wonderful series. I did a whole video on this thing. I like it so much. It's such a fantastic book. Like I said, 12 issues, Tyler Jenkins on artwork with Matt Kindt doing the writing. It's about this, essentially this island, this group of people, this community of people that decided they're going to create their own society called the Grass Kingdom. They don't follow the regular rules and laws of the state or country they're in. They have created their own state, their own set of rules and laws, and they all live together in harmony. And they somehow manage to get along relatively well. No one's really attacking them, no one's causing them any troubles. But again, a certain somebody appears on the island. There's a murder mystery involved that's sort of been, decades in the making here. There have been murders in a nearby town as well, Cargill, and you start to see the sheriffs and the police department of Cargill get involved, and you again start learning about all these characters within the Grass Kingdom, within Cargill, and how their relationships have evolved over decades, what's been happening between the families in Cargill and the families in the Grass Kingdom, why the Grass Kingdom got established in the first place. You get to see it over years and years, almost centuries, I believe, as this land has sort of been fought over and what's happened on it. Really beautifully done storytelling. There is, again, so much that happens within this set of issues. With amazing artwork by Tyler Jenkins. Getting to explore the Grass Kingdom is wonderful. Getting to learn about Robert and all the various characters within the Grass Kingdom is spectacular. Finding out about this murder mystery, who started it, the conclusion of it, seeing the war happen between Cargill and the Grass Kingdom. It's so cool. There's so much happening. Beautifully rendered by Tyler Jenkins, in my opinion. Matt Kindt, he just writes these amazing stories that are not, a story like Grass Kings is not super high level science fiction or fantasy. This is something that could happen, easily could happen, with incredibly compelling characters that, from an outside perspective may seem like bums or hobos or rednecks, if we want to get into that sort of name calling. But these are really intricate people with really compelling stories and emotions and histories and memories and experiences, and it's just so well done. Matt Kindt is able to take these very simple and bare bones characters and ideas, at least from a surface level, and show you that there's so much depth to them. If you just, again, these are all fictional stories, of course, but it's a great way to sort of think about, these things that we may see from an outside perspective as silly or ridiculous or sort of backwards, as compelling and motivated by real reasons and perspectives. It's fantastic. I really love Grass Kings. These are oversized hardcovers. They're 3 of them in total, collecting the whole series, similar to Black Badge, and really well done books by Boom Studios. So those are my 5 Matt Kindt recommendations. I swear by these titles. Of course, Matt Kindt has done so much more work. He's done a little bit of DC, a little bit of Marvel. He's done a bunch more titles at Valiant, Unity, Ninjak. I'm sure there are others I'm forgetting as well now, events and whatnot that he's worked on. A wonderful, wonderful writer. He's doing a whole bunch at Boom as well. He's done stuff like Folklords. There was a series called Bang at Dark Horse, and now he's doing a series called Berserker, coming up with Keanu Reeves. Very excited for it. Matt Kindt is my man. I love his writing so much. I love his work. He's up there with Jeff Lemire for me. So if you have any Matt Kindt titles you highly recommend, again, there's Pistol Whip, there's Super Spy, all kinds of incredible, incredible titles, Mind Management. There's so much Matt Kindt to check out. I highly recommend, if you've neglected Matt Kindt for any reason, if you're looking to get out of the big two, Matt Kindt is an incredible writer to do it along with Jeff Lemire. I'm rambling at this point. Thank you all very much for tuning in. Please be sure to subscribe if you haven't. We do have the hardcover comic shirts now available for sale. There is a link down in the description below for that. Check out our Patreon if you're interested in hardcover comic giveaways. The month of July is coming to a close, so we'll be doing some giveaways soon for that. And thank you all very much for tuning in. This is Mike from the Hardcover Comic. Check out our Instagram. It's been on the video for the most part. Hope you guys all stay safe, stay sound, enjoy your comics, enjoy your life, and until next time, you stay classy, Internet.